In this video, I want to be talking about shin splints. What is shin splints? What causes it? An important thing that you need to understand about where your shin splints is occurring, because the treatment sort of methods are different as a result. And we are going to give you some stuff that you can be cracking on with straight away in order to get rid of those shin splints. But if you're new to our channel, my name's John. I'm a sports injury therapist. And at this YouTube channel, I'm looking to help you understand your body better so you can get rid of pain and weakness and strive forward and hit your health and well-being goals. So firstly, shin splints. What is it? Well, the good news is it's not your shin splintering. And that is why I don't necessarily like the term shin splints, but I appreciate it is the most commonly used term. But some general shin splints advice, and I'll just grab my knee model. Now, what I tend to find with shin splints is it can be super common if there's been a change in training load, a change in training surface, or a change in training intensity. So if we've suddenly embarked upon in a new sport or an increased volume of training, it is quite common for shin splints to come about. And what you want to be doing there is certainly managing the symptoms. So as a general advice for shin splints, no matter where it's occurring, using things like ice, and I tend to like advising people to grab something like an ice cube and rub that into their shins until it melts, can be a really helpful way in settling the symptoms of shin splints while the body starts to accustom itself to the new demands that you're placing it under. So I certainly don't want you to stop those exercises if we don't have to. We just have to be sensible about the volumes and listen to our bodies, because they are very painful. But the important thing about shin splints is understanding whether the pain is occurring on the inside of the shin or the outside of the shin. Because what actually is shin splints then? I've told you it's not your shin splintering, so what actually is it? Well, we have muscles that attach to the inside of the shin and the outside of the shin. Now, the shin is our tibia bone. It's our main lower leg bone that's running from our knee right the way down to our ankle. So you can feel that shin bone. But attaching onto the inside of the shin bone, we have a muscle called our Tibialis posterior, and attaching onto the outside of the shin bone, we have a muscle called our Tibialis anterior. Now, with these muscles, they come in and they attach onto that bone, and on the outside of our bones, we have a layer called the periosteum. Now, what tends to be happening when we get in shin splints, or what might be termed shin splints, is that these muscles are pulling, we're using those excessively, and they're pulling on the shins and disturbing that periosteum and becoming quite sore. So that's why things like ice can help to settle with that inflammation, settle that disturbance of the periosteum to be not quite so painful. But what we're not doing there is correcting the cause. What we want to be doing is correcting these muscles and the force that's being applied to these muscles. But we have some different treatment protocols, because the problem we have with the tibialis anterior, so if I start with that and we talk about the muscle that's if on the outside of the shin, so if your pain's on the outside of the shin, the thing to do with shin splints is to find your shin bone and just prod along the borders of each, and you'll soon realize whether it's on the inside or the out, or potentially both. But that will give you some indicator. But if it's on the outside of your shin, the tibialis anterior is a muscle that I call an unstretchable. The frustration for me is that you can't get a good stretch, and you might see some stretches out there, but in my opinion, due to the makeup of the ankle joint, you can't get a good stretch on the tibialis anterior muscle. So if somebody's suffering with shin splints, what I want them to ensure is two things. One, that they've got a good amount of movement at that ankle. So this is a movement that we call dorsiflexion, and this is the amount of movement that our knee can get over the ankle joint. So if we imagine we've got our foot coming out here, our leg locking into that, and the knee up here, we want to be able to drive the knee over the foot. And what we sometimes find is that we have got a restriction in that movement, is that the shin muscles have to do more work, and that can then lead to shin splints. So the first thing I need you to do is to do what we call a knee to wall test. And what you look to do is start off with the good side, and we want to put our toes about a fist distance away from the wall. You want to keep the heel on the floor of the good side, and you want to take that knee so that it touches the wall. And that should be showing you if you've got a full range of dorsiflexion, roughly speaking. Then repeat that test with the bad side, the side that you're suffering with the shin splints on. Do you get a restriction in that movement? If you do, then we know that we haven't got enough dorsiflexion, and that's something we want to improve. How do we do that? Well, a great place to start is by stretching out the two muscles at the back of the leg, called our gastrocnemius, which is where we're looking to do a stretch where we're keeping the back leg nice and straight, all heels are on the floor. And then we can also do a stretch that we call the soleus stretch. The soleus is a deeper muscle in that calf complex. Very similar stretch, but you're looking to bend both those legs this time. Still heels on the floor, and we're holding those stretches for 30 seconds. So that's a good thing that we can start to stretch those muscles at the back. That starts to allow us more dorsiflexion. But the problem is we can't stretch the main culprit, this tibialis anterior. So what can we do? Well, this is where things like massage guns, trigger balls, or even self-massage can be really helpful. So by massaging the outside of that shin, finding those sore points in the shin, you'll inevitably find these sore trigger pointy areas and looking to work through those. So again, massage guns can be helpful. Using something like a ball to roll through that tissue, really helpful bits of kit or self-massage work in order to improve the quality of that tibialis anterior. What about then if the pain is on the inside of the shin? So this is where we get a tibialis posterior issue causing the problem. Well, all the same principles apply. That's the good news, is that we want to check out our dorsiflexion. We want to be icing the area to manage the symptoms. We can be self-massaging in the area, finding those sore points. But our bonus here is that we can get a stretch into that tibialis posterior. And the other good thing is it's quite easy because it's a small adaptation on the soleus stretch. So all you're looking to do is pop the heel outwards when you're in that soleus stretch. So take the heel, the back of your foot, away from the midline, and you should start to feel that stretch moving deeper and more around to the inside. And hopefully you're catching that tibialis posterior. So that's a great way of then loosening out the direct culprit in this case and getting yourself some better flexibility through that area. So then, as the body starts to become accustomed to the demands that you're putting it through, with more flexible muscles and you managing the symptoms, through things like massage and ice, that's going to be helpful for you for managing those symptoms around shin splints. Now, one of the questions that I get asked is, how can I tell if something's a shin splint or a stress fracture? Again, very difficult to answer that because the symptoms may well present themselves similarly, and stress fractures in the leg and that area can often be missed by x-ray as well. So even an x-ray may miss them. But the truth is there isn't much that you can do. Our treatment methods are similar. We want to be making sure that the movement of the ankle is good. We want to be managing the symptoms, and we only want to exercise as rest allows. If we know that we've got a stress fracture, we would stop that exercise for a period of time to allow that to heal. But the symptoms of shin splints can present very similarly. So make sure that we're not overdoing things. We are being sensible and we're easing back only as pain allows. It will never be helping to run through shin splints. It's not one of those things that, or exercise through shin splints that's going to get better with exercise. Once the pain's there, we're causing problem at the periosteum and you're only going to disturb it further. So ease back on that exercise load to allow you to exercise in a pain-free area while you do the other tips in this video to help you out. Has that been helpful for you? I hope it has. If you've made it this far in the video, hit that like button, and that shows me that this is the type of content you want to be seeing. The more likes I get, the more I know this is the type of video that I should be making. It also helps others to see it. So that's your good deed for the day. And if you haven't subscribed to our ever-growing community, it's an absolute honour to be part of it from my perspective. So I hope that you'd love to join me on that journey. Hit the subscribe button down below. And that way I can let you know as soon as we hit another video out there to make sure you are flying along on that health and well-being journey. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.